Welcome to the Convo Podcast, hosted by D.Bail, powered by BrustleMedia.com.
What up, what up, what up? Rolling with the radicals. What's good? What's good?
What up, man?
Ooh, ooh! What up, what up, what up, what up? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned into the Convo Podcast with your host, D.Bail, and I have the radicals, Shady and Eric and Shady, the radical duo, the radical 2020, and it's going down. And let me tell y'all something, man. This couple is an inspiration. It's a vibe all in itself. They are headed off to Italy tomorrow. Italy. How many people that you know that are worldwide travelers like the radicals? So first and foremost, peace and blessings, love. What's going on with y'all, man? What's up with the trip tomorrow? We're going to get into all the individuals, but tell me a little bit about this trip tomorrow. What is the purpose?
What's going on?
Yeah.
So a lot going. Yeah, I love the intro.
Cool.
So we leave at 9:30 a.m. We get to the our flight is at 11:55. Where we have a couple of stops.
Yeah, we definitely got a couple of stops. But what are we going for though? I forget.
Oh, so we are presenting a paper at University of Palermo. Their Invisibilia conference.
Mm-hmm.
And I am writing a paper on how social invisibility produces social activism or social anarchy. So I'm looking at, Joker, the film that recently came out, and then comparing that to Invisible Man, Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man, and trying to really think about, what produces these different forms of activity.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah. So when me and Eric travel and go to these conferences, we kind of do this collaborative presentation.
Okay.
So while I will read this paper, Eric will also perform, because in his work, thinking about trap music and how trap music is a reflection of a form of social invisibility, and how he's working through or negotiating spaces, especially dealing with police encounters and everything, and how that comes out in his work. So it is a joint effort, and we're really excited about it.
You should be, because you are the best and the brightest from the United States of America, and you get a chance to go to another country, and you can basically show them how we living out here, and you can show them our intellect and our intelligence and our substance. So salute to both of you for making that journey, because the last time we spoke, I mean, it was just so there's just so many things that as African Americans, unfortunately, we're not always exposed to. Not because we don't want to be exposed to, but due to the lack of traveling for whatever finances, family, work, we're not really afforded the opportunity to travel as much as we would like to. So, I mean, we're literally living through your lens. We're living through the radical lens. So I would hope that, you guys are able to get some footage, even if you just press record on your phone and kind of record your speech. I just feel like these are things that people need to be exposed to, because ultimately this is an inspiration. This is a living, moving inspiration, and people will definitely be motivated seeing what the both of you are doing. Yeah, for sure.
And let me just also mention, we've had so much support. We started a GoFundMe a few months ago, and of course, my brother was able to donate, but my parents, friends, family, the chair of the theater and performance department at Spelman College gave us a nice little chunk of change.
Wow, cool.
Shout out to Akuka Dogo. And so people have really gotten behind us. So to your point that, it's hard to travel and the expenses of traveling is real. And it does take a community to get behind you and you to do the work. And so it's both parts, but we're super, we have so much gratitude to all the people that have supported us so far.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely could tell that. And, it goes a lot it goes as far as just to say, people sometime will invest in your dreams if they can't materialize it on their own. So it's just like that furtherness. Like, listen, I wish I could be there, but we know that you're gonna go and you're gonna go represent. So I'm gonna donate to the cause of that. And I thought the GoFundMe was incredible for the reasons that Eric Radical literally did like personalized thank yous to everybody that donated, which was like, yo, yeah, like that really touched my heart, man. Like I just thought that was just a creative way to just give back, because it's not always like monetary, but that you could tell is from the heart, so that meant a lot to me. Wish I could have donated a little bit more, but I know you guys are gonna be traveling more throughout the year, so
Oh yeah. We got you.
there'll be more GoFundMe's to donate to, man. And yeah, just bring home the gold, man.
No, we got you, and I do want to say, I'm glad you appreciated the thank you, because what happened was, I mean, all of the donors was unexpected.
Okay.
The ones that I thought like that I knew, like, oh yeah, didn't actually come through with it, so it was just kind of like, are you for real? Like, when Shady let me know, like, oh, this person donated, or I'm like, for real? Like, oh, let me stop what I'm doing and let me really like take the time, because it's real, it's real, and it's surprising, and I'm grateful, like genuine gratitude, engulfs me when Shady tells me someone had donated, because I know these people, these aren't random people.
Got you.
Who donated. There's a few people that just heard about it and donated, but to me, they're not random. We don't have thousands of donators. We have, I think it's like maybe it's in the double digits. So it's kind of like I know these people, and we had conversations, and these people are in our lives, even though most of them are coast to coast. We're not always around them like we want to be.
Right.
So I definitely appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh man. So I also wanted to say one thing real quick. We want to give congratulations to Shady Radical, who is now, how do I say this? Is it Dr. Shady now, or is it?
Not quite yet.
Okay,
so
okay.
I'm officially ABD. That means all but dissertation. Dissertation is a really formal word, but it's all but dissertation. That means I'm actually qualified to do research as a scholar and produce my dissertation.
Wow.
So at this point, I start my research, I do my dissertation, and then you can call me. Give me about 6 months. You can call me Dr. Radical.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. Is Baby Radical, Wendy, is she going with you guys?
Yes.
Oh.
She got a little passport.
She got her passport. She's very excited. She's actually with her with Eric's mom right now, because we got to do the last little things. I'm sending out emails, washing laundry, packing bags, making sure everything is straight for in the morning.
Right.
So she's with grandma. But she's coming. Everybody at her school, she goes to Atlanta School of Excellence, shout out. They're very excited for her.
Wow.
Everybody is like definitely rooting for her, like, Wendy, bring us something back from Italy.
She's gonna have more stamps on her passport than many adults. So big ups to you guys for exposing her to that, because I feel like that's something that will definitely go a long way. And it will also just expand her mind as a child, because a lot of times, especially the kids that I work with, they feel restricted. They haven't gone past their 4-block radius. I have kids that are 15 minutes away from Manhattan that up until 2 months ago, they had never even been to Manhattan. They had never even knew it was accessible. So I think when you give a child the opportunity to travel and to expand their mind, expand their thoughts, ultimately it's great for development as they get older, because they don't feel boundaries. They don't feel closed in. She can go wherever she wants, and she can know that you're not patronizing her. Literally, hey, I was in Italy, and I wasn't even 2 years old yet, and I was in Italy. So,
Right.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing. So big ups to you guys for that. I'm just extremely excited for you guys. But on another note, I'm also a little discouraged. I'm a little discouraged because
Mhm.
Eric Radical is an amazing, talented musician. I mean, the last time on the Convo podcast, we talked about his exposure at the 444 tour when Jay-Z called him up on stage. And there's been, just beyond the celebrity interactions, this man has brought so much joy to the citizens of not only Atlanta, but wherever he sets up shop and he goes to play, it's always positive
Right.
vibes, positive energy. And you guys have been dealing with the situation, unfortunately, with the Atlanta Police Department, where they're not allowing Eric to, do what he does best. They're not allowing him to make a
Right.
living. And from what I was reading, the law was passed that gave street musicians the right to go out there and make a living for themselves. But apparently, that memo has not reached the Atlanta Police Department. And I
Yeah.
wanted to say that the press conference was very articulate. It was very professional. It was very well put together. And I'm hoping that we can come to some type of conclusion that will be beneficial for both parties. But Eric, to my audience, can you explain a little bit about what's happening, and even Shady, just from seeing your husband going through these trials and tribulations, what is going on?
Yeah, so to simply put, I'm a street musician. I go to the busy corners of the block, and I set up, have my case out, and I'm playing music for the locals and for the tourists. Of course, they drop in whatever they can in the case,
Right.
requesting a song, and asking me the best spot to eat or dance. Um, and so I do want to clarify that the city council didn't actually pass a law.
Mm-hmm.
What they did was just clarify the law to explicitly state that street musicians are exempt from different noise ordinance or city ordinance violations.
Okay.
It's not even noise that they were trying to enforce. It's mainly panhandling and soliciting or impeding traffic. It's a bunch of different ones. But we're protected under the First Amendment. It's definitely a form of freedom of speech, and as long as we're not aggressively asking for money, then we're okay. And I do want to state that back in the '90s, the city of Atlanta Police Department was sued in a lawsuit. They won the person who they were sued by a street musician working with the ACLU here,
Mm-hmm.
and they actually won the lawsuit. So this is this is not the first time, and even for me, so after the '90s, and even for me in 2013, when that happened, as far as them telling me go home or go to jail, and I stood my sound, or stood my ground,
Yeah.
and went through that whole process. Even then, I didn't file a lawsuit because I thought that what I wanted was things I just wanted the harassment to stop, and I
Right.
felt like city council addressing it as publicly as they did and as soon as they did would be enough. But over the years, I mean, it's been 7 years now that I've been getting harassed, and we're not talking 1, 2, 3. We're talking hundreds of times through these years. And it's not just me who get harassed. It's definitely other street musicians. It's me who goes to jail because for me, just being here in the South, and I'm from the North, but being here in the South, and I went to Alabama State, and just emerged in the civil rights grounds, or just the civil rights landscape. It gives me a sense of duty and obligation where I can't just back down. We stay off Martin Luther King right now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you got names like Andrew Young, and just so many different historical moments and monuments, and that just constantly reminds you of you're here for a reason, and this oppression and this form of harassment isn't new, and it's what your ancestors have been fighting for since they came over here. I mean, we're literally in Georgia, and it's literally, I mean, yes, it's called Atlanta. Yes, it's the Black Mecca. Before it was the Black Mecca, it was the Deep South.
Right.
It was,
You know,
definitely.
I also want to say something too, because recently someone when I was explaining to them what Eric was going through, someone responded and said that it's as if there's not a bunch of street musicians out there, like, you know, kind of implying like, why is Eric the one being arrested? And to that I said, well, there's a few reasons why Eric is the one being arrested. One, like he said, he has to stand his ground. But in order to stand his ground or his sound, he has to know the law.
Right.
So he knows the ordinances. Like, he can recite the ordinances. And a lot of times during these encounters, he's reciting the ordinances to the police, which, you know, they have a reaction or response to.
Yeah.
So, and it escalates the situation.
Because they automatically expect you not to know your rights, you know. Oh, you one of those proper ones. Oh, you know you think you know the law, huh? Yeah. I got it. That's crazy.
Number one. Also, Eric doesn't have any priors. Like, he's never been arrested or accused of anything but playing his horn on the street. So when you don't have a record, when you've never been arrested for anything but, you know, like drugs or crimes or anything, you can also stand your ground, because, you know, they're not going to find anything.
Right.
So, you know, those are also things where other street musicians, other street performers find it challenging to stand up.
Right.
You know,
if
they have an outstanding, you know, warrant. Yeah, they're not going to be able to fight for their rights at that moment. So they'll go home or they'll move, and Eric won't, because of these set of things.
So you're almost like you're literally like taking a stand, not just for yourself, but for a lot of other street musicians out there who do not have that opportunity due to some of their past or some of their priors. So this is a bigger mission, ladies and gentlemen, than just a man that just wants to just play music. He's supporting his family behind this, and he's also supporting a whole movement of talented street musicians who, by the way, wherever Eric goes, I mean, you could just like literally, I mean, and we're gonna link some of his videos up with this interview, but you can just see the positive vibes where he goes. Like, this man he loves his music. There's no ulterior motive. There's no negativity behind it. He genuinely enjoys playing music and giving people that enjoyment, you know. And legally, you're legally blind as well, which makes it a whole nother aspect of it. So, you know, I felt your point when, you know, these police officers are not, excuse me, sir, they're not talking to you. They're grabbing you, or they're talking to you as they're grabbing you. I can't imagine how traumatizing that could be. I mean, especially with the state of Black America dealing with the police. It's just we're in constant, I don't even like to say fear, because I don't fear any man, but we're just always on edge. And some people are very fearful, and they have the right to be very fearful dealing with police. And this is not just a racial thing. I'm sure there's been black cops, white cops. I'm sure you've dealt with all different spectrums.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, number one, they approach you aggressively. But also, I mean, they don't forget, they still have guns. And over the years, those guns have gotten bigger. You know, so it is I mean, you know, when we talk about stress, I mean, you know, it does linger. You know, it's been a few times that, you know, after an altercation with an officer, and even though that one time the officer said, okay, you're right, you go ahead and play. Yo, I packed up like 30 seconds after, because it was just so stressful, and like, yo, my heart is beating too fast. Like,
right.
Like I you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, you know, that is done. I'm on a whole another thing now that I'm dealing with. So that's Yeah.
what
Oh, no.
ultimately, other than just the outright harassment, what would the two of you like to see happen with this situation?
Mhm. I just think that police and the police culture needs to be it needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
I was on campus on Georgia State campus today, and I was crossing the street, and there was a police officer there crossing students, and a car kind of was in the middle of the street, and the police officer started yelling like, "What are you doing? Just go, just go." Just like very kind of disrespectfully. And I felt so bad for the old man in the car because he didn't know what he
Mm.
was doing wrong. But like, why do you feel like you can talk to someone like that?
Mm-mm.
Is it because you are carrying a gun? Because I don't remember police, crossing guards talking to people like that. So like, what empowers you to talk to people so viciously? And I think it's because of this, police culture. People talk about the paramilitarization of the police force. I think it's changing into something that we really don't want to see.
Mm.
So I mean, this is an intervention as well in order to make things right. But I know that there's other things that Eric wants to see too.
Well,
Mm.
no, I mean, I agree with that. That's at the root. That's at the root. I mean, if they had some manners, I think this problem would have been solved years ago. And that's what it is. Because sometimes they call their lieutenant, and the lieutenant, says like, yeah, leave him alone. He's okay. But often, I mean, that's rare when they call the lieutenant.
Right.
Um, so if they have some manners, I think, and willing just to admit like, okay, I might not
No.
know everything,
Right.
and let me just check on that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right.
Anything like that, it would be a different situation. Even if they was doing that all the time. Let me check on that. Yeah, it would be annoying, but I wouldn't be filing a federal lawsuit against them for what I believe they genuinely don't know. This isn't that. This is aggressive, excessive, and I definitely would say systemically racist.
Yeah.
Even though I deal with black and white cops, um, it's the system.
It's the system. Yeah.
They're designed to target. They're designed to meet the quota. They're designed to
Order.
yeah, to go after the ones who they believe might not know, or like Shady said, might not even um, feel like they have the grounds to defend themselves because of their prior history. Um, so it is that too,
Yeah.
that we deal with. So I would definitely like the harassment to stop, and I feel like a big part of that is just to change the narrative of officer and, let's say, civilian, with just implementing manners, and patience. It's
Patience.
been times, like I said, I am blind. It's been times that officers will signal me to come over there, or signal me to stop with hand motions, and I don't see them. They're far away,
Right.
and that's why they come at me on 10. But also, so it's like other places that I've gone, internationally, people, and notice right away that, he has visual impairment.
Yeah.
Like, it's so
Very
Mm.
true.
surprising that I have to ask, like, how did you know? I was so surprised. It's been
There's a greater sensitivity for limitations.
And these are
Yeah.
regular citizens that are able to recognize that,
Yeah, I mean, in different languages. Let's be clear.
which is
I
crazy.
remember the first time I was in a country called Guadeloupe, and that's an island in the Caribbean, and they only speak French.
Okay.
And I was learning to surf, and literally I seen them gesture and say whatever that, pointing to my eyes, and explaining to someone that I'm visually impaired. And I really just that was the most surprising thing that I learned going out the country. Like,
Mm.
wow, people over, internationally have a different sensibility. And I think, number one, it is manners and patience and empathy. Um,
Yeah.
that they maybe the standard that they're held to.
Mm-mm-mm. We're in a very, very sad point right now in America. And I think you guys made a good point as well. Look at where you live. You're in Atlanta. You're in the home of Martin Luther
Yeah.
King Jr. You mentioned Andrew Young.
Yeah.
John
John
Lewis.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Coretta Scott King. These
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
trailblazers for civil rights. If there's anywhere where this shouldn't be happening, it should be at Atlanta. Atlanta should be sensitive.
Yeah.
It should be empathetic. It should be all of those different things. So it's an American
Yeah.
travesty that this
Yeah.
has to happen, because once again, it's not like you're a new Jack. You've been on the streets as a musician for how long now?
Yo, 10 years.
10
and 7
years.
of those years have been here.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're known, you're well known, you don't have a criminal record. And even if you did, that doesn't give them the right
Exactly.
and the excuse to treat you in the way that they do. Because
Right.
once you served your time, you're supposed to have served your time. You're supposed to be treated with the same respect
Right.
as any ordinary citizen. So this
Yeah.
is disheartening, but the good thing about it is that you're actually working on this. So would you like to mention some of the people that are helping you right now?
Yeah, no, definitely. We partnered with Ellinger Law.
Yeah.
It's a law firm out in Texas.
Okay.
Who is definitely they helping us file the federal lawsuit, and been there I guess over a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And there's also Dr. Knucklehead Amir Whitaker, who's actually from Shady's hometown, Plainfield, New Jersey.
Yeah.
He works with the
Yeah.
shout out to the field.
The Field.
Yeah.
Shout out the Field. Yes, hometown.
Yeah. He's a civil rights attorney with the ACLU.
Okay.
And it's been a year and a half, going on 2 years since we first made contact with our lawyers and our team. But one thing that they said when we made contact was that they were really interested in this case because it wasn't another shooting or it had to deal with civil rights and policing that needs to be addressed, but it wasn't a case of that sort.
Right.
And they feel like, these cases are often overlooked.
Definitely.
There's so many times that people are facing things like this, but because the ACLU is overburdened with cases about people being shot and murdered and, harassed violently, that these cases be overlooked. So, I mean, it's a huge thing because we do live in the South, and so there are many of those cases. And in addition to that, another thing that they said is that sometimes there's different institutions that don't, or agencies that don't want to take cases against the police,
right,
because it kind of hurts their relationship. So there's a bunch of different factors that have gone into this whole case, and I mean, we're just so appreciative of the help. They flew out here for our press conference.
Yeah.
They've been on call when we've needed them. They're also working with the local law firm, and they're really working hard to get some justice. Another aspect we haven't talked about yet, and I know like it's a little sensitive, but we've lost so much money.
Yeah.
Like, quite frankly, like our whole savings is tied up in court fees, bailing Eric out of jail, waiting outside the jail. And, then, not only just the court fees and the bail, but also like, that means he ain't make money that night.
Right.
So while we needed, him to make the 200, 300, 400 that he went out there to make, not only did he make that, but we have to go into the savings and come up with that money too. So like it while this is an injustice in terms of our civil rights, like you said, as far as supporting his family, it's been a very hard, trying time, and it's only getting worse.
Oh my goodness. What is the turnaround time for this? What are your lawyers saying in terms of the lawsuit? What has to happen next in order for justice to be served?
Yeah, so let's, we're talking about the law. Things take time.
Yeah.
Things, people drag their feet. They did give us, like, the police departments have 30 out of 45 days to respond.
Okay.
And he just.
I'm sorry. I just want to interrupt you because the reason why it took this long is because there's steps, right, that you have to go through. So
I'm sure.
First they had, they needed to reach out to the police department to do an internal investigation. So a third party did an internal investigation, and the report stated that they did find wrongdoing on behalf of the police.
Right.
So it was only at that point where this third party did determine, like, okay, there's a practice here that's off. That then we were able to file a lawsuit to follow up on that.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there has to be some admittance of wrongdoing on the behalf of the police department before a lawsuit can be filed or before somebody's willing to take your case.
Right.
That's good information. That's good information to know. Yeah. And I like the fact that you said that this is an issue that systematically law enforcement needs to look at before it even escalates to the point where people are getting shot. Because I feel like if you deal with these situations, just the casual conversation, just the confrontation between a police officer and a citizen, that we can talk this out, we can work this out without it becoming physical, without me having to raise my voice or vice versa, that in itself is a training, de-escalation. Because somehow we're going from 0 to 100 every time.
Yep.
And it is so sad because the process behind that is, even if these families find justice, just thinking about the Botham Jean case and the Amber Geiger situation, 10 years, 20 years, she's found guilty. I guess you could say to a certain extent that's justice, although I don't agree with the sentencing. I thought the sentencing should have been a lot longer. However, what is true justice when that person that was violated is no longer coming back home? You understand? So it's like it's really like, okay, she got 10 years, she got 15, she got life, but this man is not coming back home regardless of what sentence is handed down. So I feel like we need to get to the point where we stop these things from happening in terms of somebody losing their life. Like a situation such as yours can be a blueprint on, listen, this is how we have to start dealing with these situations. Because I can understand a police officer's job could be a little stressful, but when it comes down to the point where protect and serve does not become the priority anymore, and our tax dollars are being used to pay for us to get beat down, abused verbally, physically, and emotionally, then there's definitely a problem that is there. So, I mean, I'm disheartened by what has happened, but I am hopeful that something good will come out of this. And that, it makes your story that much more stronger, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going through things that are saying to themselves, due to this, I'm going to quit, I'm going to give up. And I like the fact that you're able to hold your ground, you're standing your ground. And that also goes to show the power in a couple, because, it would be a lot harder to do this thing on your own, so when you have somebody that's there to support you, we need to get back to that supportive relationships. That's a whole nother topic that I wanted to dwell on, but especially when it comes to us as African Americans, we need to take care of each other. A woman needs to take care of a man needs to take care of a woman, because together it makes it that much more bearable, because you have somebody that understands and somebody that can lean on. And I can even speak from my own situations with my wife and things that I'm going through. So it is important to have somebody that is going to be there for you. And so I don't want the interview to just be dragged down by that situation. We'll give the listeners an update once we get one. But let's talk about what's going to happen when you come back from Italy. We refer to you guys as the J and B, or the B and J of the art world. Are we still working on on art. What do we have next on the table?
Okay. See, I do want to say that, but I do want to say this though, right?
Okay.
Because it does get daunting talking about police and the system. But one of my friends called me the other day, congratulating me, and I'm just like, yo, why? Like, I didn't even win, I didn't win the case, I didn't win the lawsuit, I just filed it.
Right. It takes time, like you said.
Right, and he was saying that the fact that somebody that I know can file a federal lawsuit against multiple police departments in a huge metropolitan city is inspiration enough.
It is.
For me to use my voice. When things are happening to me. So it's kind of like so, and for me personally, I do feel a sense of uh, yes, hopeful, but just a sense of like accomplishment, a little bit, just to say like, okay, there is motion and there is movement.
Gotcha.
And I think, the fact that it's moving, I'm definitely excited about it. I mean, I definitely know it's not overnight, but I am excited about it. So I do want to say that, yeah, it's the system and all of that, but it is moving. Thanks to viewers like you, like the
Right.
community is definitely making sure it's being moved and pushed. So it's definitely, it's definitely a little stress relieving that people are using and drawing inspiration from it already.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I agree.
Yeah. So and that's appreciate it. And as far as the art, and as for Jay and Bay of the art, I mean, I think we as the radicals are really becoming, really becoming, I don't even know, like becoming who we are. I guess it just seems like the more of who we are, more of what we've been doing, is becoming a force in itself. This conference in Italy, is pretty much it's really solidifying, just the union and I guess the strength, of two people coming together and creating.
Yeah.